official first spring day because the day this video comes out, it's gonna be the very first day of official spring. So I thought it would be fun to do a little spring TBR because honestly, I'm someone who loves to embrace the season or any type of holiday. And of course, I'm gonna do the same with spring. So I also got some spring colors on, I got some flowers, and I wanted to give you guys some recommendations of what books to read in spring and also share my personal TBR. Okay, I'm so sorry. I just got interrupted by the mail delivery guy. This might not be the exact same angle. However, in the first book I would suggest to put on your spring TBR is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I really like this book, and I think not only the cover, which definitely gives spring vibes, but also the plot kind of gives me spring vibes. Spring is not the season, at least to me, to read like dark romances or to read very complicated fantasies. I mean, I of course still read them, but it is not the season for it. There's a difference. But especially in spring, I feel like cute or more fluffy romances are where they thrive or where their season lays, and that is really this book. This one is such a cute romance, but it's still very emotional, I think. I love the characters. It is an opposites attract, but it was done so well. Like, these characters were just perfectly together. You have Annie, who is a bit more shy. She's a florist and she wants to change her appearance or her image, and that's where Will comes in, and he helps her to really discover herself and also of course change her image by fake dating him. But you know, of course, the fake dating lessons become tangled up with feelings. And one thing that I loved about this book is how they communicated with each other and how they talked openly about their feelings, or just, you know, also what scares them about their growing feelings. And I think if you're someone who really enjoys that and kind of hates the miscommunication trope, then this one is for you, because I think it was done so well in here. If you want another book with lots of flowers, a florist as a main character, but lots more spice, then I recommend Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is also a very cute romance, I would say. A bit silly, but also very spicy. Hallie is a very open and very loud person, and Julian, who is a professor, comes home to his family to, I think, write a book. And his family owns like a big vineyard, so if you like wine, then read this book. And he's more quiet and serious, and although he's very attracted to Hallie, he doesn't really know how to handle her personality, or at least they think that their personalities are just too opposite. Hallie actually always had a crush on him. She professes all her feelings in one letter that she didn't really want to send him, but accidentally gets in his hands anyway. So he also has a secret admirer, but he doesn't know that it's her, and he actually replies to his secret admirer. So you also have the secret identity thing. And this is not my favorite Tessa Bailey book, but I still thought it was a good time. It was spicy and definitely gives me spring vibes. Something else that I also associate with spring is weddings for some reason. I don't even know if spring is the season for weddings, but to me it kind of has that image. So I do have a few romances that take place at weddings. The first one is Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. There's also the first one, which is Worst Best Man, which I also own, but for some reason I can't find it. They're interconnected standalone, so you can read either one of them on its own. And the main character, girl Solange, in here is the cousin of the main character in Worst Best Man. But since this cover is pink, I think it fits the whole spring vibe a bit more anyway. They're not maybe the best books ever written, but they're really fun, and especially the plot. In the first one, you actually have that they have to work on a wedding venue, and the guy she actually has to work with is the brother of her ex-fiance. I love that kind of tension. In this one, you have Solange. She attends Dean's wedding, but she overhears that the bride says that she actually doesn't 100% want to marry Dean. So she kind of crushes the wedding, so they won't go through with it. But he needs a wife for customers at his workplace to, I don't know, like have a wholesome image or something like that, and therefore asks her whether she can be his fake fiance or fake wife. And yeah, this one is a lot of fun. I really like the writing style. It's very quick and easy, so maybe pick this up if you haven't already. And in terms of fake dating, I have a Marriage of Convenience for you guys. and that is The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai. You have Daisy, who's kind of fed up by her family, really wanting to find a husband for her. And when she meets Liam, who's like a startup investor, they know each other from the past because I think he was the best friend of her brother or something like that. He learns that he needs to be married in order to get into his inheritance. So they strike a deal to get married. So he would get the money and she would get her relatives off her back. And I think with the purple and yellow and the flowers, this one just really gives spring vibes. Purple is really a theme here because my next one is also purple, which is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. And this one also kind of has a wedding at its main plot because Delilah's sister Ezra is getting married and she's the photographer for the wedding. But the sisters are estranged. They don't actually have a great relationship. They're stepsisters. And growing up was quite hard for Delilah, especially after the passing of her parents. Claire is one of Astrid's best friends. And they also have known each other from like childhood and they went to school together, but because of all the things that happened in the past, it's hard for her to trust the group and also trust their friendship. And Claire in the beginning doesn't really know that Delilah had such an awful experience there, and she is just the sweetest and I love them so much together. Claire's also a single mom. There's so much growth in this book, and this kind of just felt very realistic while still being a very adorable read. To have something else on this list as well that is not romance, I chose a non-fiction book, a memoir, and that is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. And I feel like this is a great book to read in spring because it just has so much growth that you see in this book, so much love and friendship. And for some reason, I feel like spring is just a season where we, all want to grow. We all want to do some spring cleaning. I feel like there's just so much excitement for the sun coming out and like going outside and doing plans, maybe to go away. I don't know. I feel like not only nature becomes more alive during spring, but also people. And I think that this book captures those feelings as well and just enhances them. Dolly Alderton is just so great at storytelling. I mean, this is a memoir. It's not supposed to be a fictional story, but still you're so involved with the characters and not just Dolly, but I feel like also her friendships and other relations. You're just there with them and you spend your 20s together and how it is really to grow up, become an adult, and to figure out life. And I think this is just a great one to read in spring. And it's also yellow and cute. For my recommendations is Throttled by Lauren Asher. And this one is an F1 romance. I freaking love this book so much. I actually want to do a reread soon because I just crave myself some F1 romance, and especially Noah. Noah is one of my favorite male characters ever. And why I think this is a great spring read is that you travel with these characters around the world for F1 in real life now. The season for F1 just started and it just gets me so excited, and this book is the reason I watch F1 now. And I think if you want to get into it, then I would highly suggest reading this. I mean, we had 2 races so far, so your chance to hop on for the season is still definitely there. But even if you don't like the sports, this is still a great romance. You don't have to like F1, you don't have to be into it. This one is Brother's Rival. And yes, Noah is not flawless, but why I love him so much is that he can admit that he made mistakes and takes the right steps to really heal. And I love that in a guy. So actually the whole Dirty Air series is one that I highly recommend to read in spring and summer. If you want a fantasy read for spring, then the best one I can think of for spring is definitely the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, because it really is like magical vibes and the plot is great and amazing, but it's not very overcomplicated. It is very much Alice in Wonderland. I wish I could read it for the first time again. The main girl also has pastel pink hair and she is a bit naive, but really in the best way. I loved Evangeline so much and her journey, and of course also Jax, who is the Prince of Broken Hearts, and she comes to him because she needs his help because her true love is actually about to marry her sister and she just can't believe that that is happening. She thinks that something happened that he's forced to because they're in love. She can't believe that he would really marry her sisters, so she asks Jax to intervene in any kind of way, but in return she owes him 3 kisses. Anywhere, anywhen, to anyone. And a great story begins from there. A fantasy that I want to read and I feel like just screams spring is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. It is low stake fantasy and mainly just vibes. and especially the cover just really screams spring to me. I think this is the perfect book for spring, and I'm so excited to read this one. I don't know much about it. I know that it's about Emily, and I think she's going around the fairyland to like learn about the people, to write them in the encyclopedia. And I do think there's also a love story as a side plot. Then, as I said, weddings are also something that I consider to be spring themed. So a book with a wedding theme I want to read is The Takedown. I am so excited to read this. This plot just sounds so amazing because Sydney's sister is about to marry someone who is actually being watched by the FBI and is believed to be a very dangerous criminal. So of course Sydney wants to take him down, but in order to take him down, she wants to seduce his bodyguard. And they're on opposite sides, the enemies, but feelings don't always know that. So I'm super excited to read this one and definitely want to read it this spring. I also want to read Tom Lake this spring, and I'll be honest, I don't really know what this book is about. I just know that a few other booktubers like Rachel recommended this, and I feel like this cover just screams spring. Like, come on. The daisies? I have to read this in spring. I also finally want to read Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. The only reason why I haven't read it yet, right now, this is the only Lauren Asher book I haven't read yet. And I don't want to wait so long for the second one, but the second one is going to come out in summer. And now that we're getting closer to that release day, I feel like I'm safe to go into this one and I don't have to wait too long to read the second one. I'm predicting this is going to be a 5-star read for me. It also plays in this small town, which is by the lake, and that also kind of gives me spring vibes. I love this cover, especially because of the Easter eggs with the shade names that refer to other books and characters. Another fantasy I want to read this spring is Fortuna Sworn. I'm really in my fantasy era right now. This could easily be also a very autumn themed cover, but for some reason it kind of screams dark spring to me. I don't really know what this one is about either. It's the first one in the series. The last book in this video and the last book on my spring TBR is Begin Again by Hallie Acton, and there's 2 reasons. First of all, cover kind of gives me spring vibes, and the second reason is that Begin Again, the title of this book, kind of feels like the theme for spring because, you know, everything begins again, like the flowers, the nature. I feel I become more alive during spring, entering into summer, so I thought that this was also very fitting for spring. And in this book you get Frankie, who gets the chance to relive certain moments in her life, so the outcome is differently. I at least think that's what's gonna happen in here, but we'll see at the end of spring. Yes, so this was my spring TBR, recommendations and personal TBR. I hope that you're able to put at least one of those books on your spring TBR. I'm very glad for you to hang out with me in this video, and give this video a like and subscribe for more bookish content, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!